Hey everybody, it's Stove Talk with Matt. I just swept my chimney, but I'll go over the basics of what you need to know if you want to attempt a sweep for the first time yourself, what equipment to use for what type of liner. I'll go over all that stuff. So remove your cap. Most caps have this, what do they call it? They call it radiator clamp, something like that, where it just takes a regular screwdriver, loosen it up, shake it off, put it, most importantly, my roof is relatively flat because I have a ranch house, but always make sure, you know how many things have rolled off this roof on me? Okay, secure it properly, and then do your visual Now I already did, this is what it looks like when it's done. I already did mine, but all it had was this. I showed you during the mid-winter inspection. If it's just this soft ash, it could be built up for even a 1/4 inch. This soft ash, that's just fly ash. That's no big deal. That's not creosote. Even though if there could be a buildup across, especially on a chimney liner that has these ridges, you can have a 1/4 inch of this ash. People think it's creosote. It's not. It can't burn. It's completely safe. That's what you get when you burn hot. If you have flaky pieces, or like resin, or like maple syrup that's hardened or frozen, that's creosote. That can burn when the temperatures get hot enough. So, guys, I'm re-recording over the audio. I was talking on the roof. It's hard to make a video when you're on the roof in the middle of a project. This will cut 5 minutes off the video. That's a plastic bristle brush you get online at Amazon, 6-inch. That is a flex liner. I'll say it's cheap, like quality's cheap. They're all expensive, but the quality's cheap. For that type of flex liner, with its is very thin with the ridges, you need a plastic bristle brush at 6 inches, not a metal bristle brush. I'll show you the metal a little bit later. And when you first go to put it in like I did, if the plastic gets really super tight, these flex liners are not of high quality. You can break holes in them, especially if it's 23 years old like mine. You want to I cut my plastic bristle brush back. Each one I cut back a 1/4 inch. So it's tight, but it goes in easily. That will, if it's too tight, you will, even with a plastic, you will break apart your flex liner. If you have a stainless steel smooth liner that's real steel, that will hold up. Then you can even use a metal brush. So each time I cut back a 1/4 inch because I can't afford to replace my liner at this point. These are the metal bristles that this is sold at Lowe's, and you'll find these sold in more places. These, if they're tight on a flex liner, will rip apart your flex liner and put holes in it. Do not use these, as I said, but this is your metal. It's great for, sorry B, Mr. B, get away, they're crazy this time of year. For a really heavy duty stainless straight liner, stainless steel, these are great, and for your regular brick chimney. What's that bee doing? It's gonna sting me. Get away. Let's see what the chimney sweep produced. You just tape up I have these contract bags. These trash bags are really nice. I always keep a roll of contract bags. And there's no dust that got in here. I mean, that's absolutely nothing. That is absolutely nothing. Let me just get rid of this. Hold on. That's minor. I didn't really even need it. And I burned, in this Colebrookdale Severn, I burned 2 cords of wood. And that's all it produced. It's just fine powder, really incredibly soft fine powder. There's no creosote whatsoever. It didn't need to be done, but it'll draft better with getting all that gook off the sides. Usually, my pile's usually twice that. And I don't think it's stuck up there, but I'll inspect it with mirrors. But that's nothing. In the U.S., I'm pretty sure Home Depot does not sell any chimney cleaning supplies. My Lowe's does. But again, not the plastic bristles, just the metal, which you don't want for a flex liner. And also take notes. My notes that were with my chimney stuff said, I want 5 poles for the longest chimney, but don't push the 5th one. all the way through. I had exact measurements. So you first you just start your first pole first, and then and once you just go back and forth slowly. It shouldn't be too tight. It shouldn't be loose either. Just barely touching the sides. If you make it too loose, that's fine. Just bang it around a bit and go back. Better too loose than too super tight if you have a cheap flex liner. Just go back and forth, each down 4 feet. Just takes about 45 seconds to a minute. Then when you've got it clean, then you add your second pole, which one screws into the other. And again, another 45 seconds to a minute, back and forth, let it bounce off the sides. Then add your third pole. Of course, the big risk in all this is if you drop it down your liner, if you drop your 3 or 4 poles down, you're screwed. I talk about mineral wool a lot, guys. This insulation, it just doesn't burn. It's I don't know what it's good to, like 2,000 degrees. Anybody that's into stoves should have a nice little supply of mineral wool. Okay, guys, just a 2-minute summary of all the important points. What you're looking at is a cleaned chimney liner. That's cleaned. Before, again, I couldn't show you, it's got a 1/4 inch buildup of this fine powder. That is completely safe. You shouldn't let it build up for your draft, but it's not going to cause a chimney fire. The fine, soft, powdery stuff. Creosote is hard, flaky, again, like dried syrup, little chunks. That's creosote. Any sort of flaky powder, there's no chimney fire risk, but you still should clean it every year if you can. You could let it go. There's no chimney fire risk. Also, from a creosote perspective, the top 10 feet of your chimney is going to be a lot worse than the first 10 or 15 feet close to the stove. Close to the stove is hotter. There'll be less creosote. Therefore, in general, if you don't see any creosote the first 5 feet down from the roof where it gets the coldest and it's wet, the chances are, I can't guarantee anything. If your top is good, the chances are your middle and your bottom is good from a creosote perspective. It's going to start building up at the top where it gets cold and wet. Again, if you have a flex liner like this, which is really thin and kind of cheap, expensive but cheap, you know what I mean? Do not use a metal bristle brush. And when you get your plastic brush from Amazon, and if it goes in super tight, do not, especially mine goes left, mine goes right, do not push hard. You will rip the liner. That's real expensive. Cut a 1/4 inch back on each. It'll take you 25 minutes. With real snips, metal snips, cut a 1/4 inch off the ends to make basically your 6-inch bristle brush down to a 5.5-inch bristle brush. Doesn't have to be super tight on all sides. If you just are patient, let it bang around a little bit, let it drift around a little bit. It'll get the dust off. Little tight's nice, but if you go down and your thing turns to the left and you got to push real hard to get through, I would say don't do it. Cut a 1/2 inch off your tines. That thing banging around in there, up and down, banging around, it'll get the dust off. You need it tight if you have a real creosote mess problem. You need it tight and bristly. If you don't have a creosote issue, it's better to have it loose. You can bang all the dust off. Yeah, if it's creosote and that real flaky stuff, you're going to need to brush a little bit. You need to take a risk that you're not going to break your liner to get the creosote off. Use a plastic brush, not the metal. These bristle brushes have a loop at the top, so you can sweep by holding the pole on the roof, and you can also have some people use a rope through the little ring there, and they'll pull from the bottom. Sometimes it's necessary to pull from the bottom. You can clean that way. Now, this is a safety backup in case if you're prone to drop things or a little klutzy. If you drop 3 poles down the chimney liner, you're screwed unless you have a way to get it out. So to be the most safe, I take my chances because I'm very in tune with what I'm doing. I don't think there's any way I'm going to drop it. But you could put a string with a little bit of a weight, through that loop. You could drop the string all the way down into the firebox, into your living room. And that way, if you dropped it or it got stuck, you could pull it through from the bottom. Some people will do that, and some people might need to pull through at the bottom just to clean the last 10 feet because it might turn or twist a little bit. So sometimes you use both, the poles from the top and then the string through the loop. You might have to pull the last 10 feet through. Again, if you have 15 feet of poles attached, you're going to be able to take that out through your fireplace or through your firebox. The poles are very flexible for this reason, and they screw in, of course, one by one as you go down. Okay, the biggest question people will have is, how often do I need to sweep? That is impossible to answer. There are many different factors. Some people may build up creosote in just a month or two, a lot, making it dangerous. Some people, I could have gone with a stove like this, I could have gone 15 years with zero risk of a chimney fire. Now I'm going to get a bunch of fly ash blocking my draft, and it might get, but in terms of risk for a chimney fire, I don't produce creosote with my setup. I burn hot. I burn seasoned, aged woods, hardwoods, not softwoods. You have to know your system. And some people will build up creosote in a month. Other people go 15 years. Okay, you have to know your stove. If you have a new stove, you really have to get it. If you can visually inspect it halfway through the winter, just for the first time, if you have a new stove, if you have a new stove and you have a pitched roof and you can't get up there, make sure you burn super bone dry, aged 2-year-old aged wood. Hardwoods, not softwoods, and burn it hot. If you have a new stove, burn it hot. Don't choke it down before people they flare it up for 5 minutes and then they choke it down before going to bed, which is a creosote factory. If you're going to choke it down, you want coals in the morning, burn it hot for 40 minutes. And then when it starts going to coals, choke it down. Not as soon as people do. Anyway, if you have a new, and you get through the winter, if you burn hot, burn seasoned wood, you're not going to have a problem where you need to clean it during the winter. You get through in the spring, then sweep it. You saw my pile. See what you have. You have flakes of creosote and sticky, shiny stuff at the bottom, or do you have just a pile of ash? You have a pile of ash, well, okay, I burned hot, I burned seasoned wood, but I have no creosote. So you get to know your stove. Again, factors, the number one reason for sweeping, of course, is creosote. The number two reason is a buildup of fly ash, which blocks your draft a bit. A stove that, if you keep it, the air on full and burn it hot, and your chimney goes up through the middle of the house so it stays warm and insulated, you're going to have hardly any creosote for the life of the stove. On the other hand, if you have a stove like this and you exit the chimney out into the cold, a cold chimney on the outside of the house, it gets cold, damp, wet. You choke it down before going to bed. You cut the air off because I want to save the wood. I don't want to build a fire in the morning. You choke everything down. You don't give it air. It smolders. I'm not, by the way, this is all this advice is, I can't give any advice on a catalytic stove. I don't know catalytic stoves. I probably will never have one. So this is for non-catalytic. If you burn softwoods, evergreens, your chimney's cold, you choke it down, you're not burning hot, and you might need to clean it after 8 weeks, 6 weeks. I don't know. But you have to, when you have a new stove, you got to visually inspect it halfway through the season, see what's going on. If you have flakes of creosote at the top, you need to clean it big time or stop burning. If you can't get access to it, you have a high-pitched roof or whatever, you have a new stove, then you'll be fine. If you have, again, last time, and this is the end of the video, oak, hickory, hard woods, fully aged, 1.5 years, dry as a bone, burn it hot. Do not choke it down. You'll see what you're dealing with when you go to clean it for the first time. That'll tell you. If it's just powder like what I had, you could say, well, I could get away with choking it down a lot and whatever, and I've done that many times myself on the old stove, choke it down so I have coals in the morning, still never got creosote, but I'd choke it down after it flared up for 45 minutes. People, it flares up big time when you first add wood, 10 minutes, oh, the fire's going crazy, we're good to go. No, you got to burn it for like 35-40 minutes when it's just starting to go to coals before you choke it down. If you flare it up and then go to bed and you choke it down, you come down and 15 minutes later, it's just a smoldering mess. It's a creosote factory. Anyway, that's the best information I can provide. I hope it was useful. Thanks for being here.